Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are across the plain. I hope you're well. I hope you're feeling good this Sunday morning, if it is Sunday morning for you. I suggest, unless you're going down the beach on this sunny Sunday, and we'll watch this back later, but if it's a cozy moment wherever you are, I would say it's time for a cup of tea, popcorn, your favorite snack. This is going to be interesting, revealing, exciting, and full of information as per usual. I'm going to deal with the information others mostly don't get to. So, for instance, I'm going to refer you to this character. You may know him as Robert Clancy over here. The subject is presented to you is exposing Freemasonry. Now, he tells you clearly he was and is a Freemason, or was a Freemason. He has rebelled, I guess, is what he's saying. His information in this 5-hour documentary on Freemasonry is excellent and accurate. And he gives you much photographic documentation of all your celebrities involved, or most of them. And some excellent inside information on how to recognize a Freemason and Freemason activity, generally contracts, which are generally sealed by symbolic handshakes or symbolic gestures, which of course can be written or inscribed in stone, sculpted. There are many forms and manners. So, yes, I would advise to watch this documentary as well. It's very, very good information in the modern world of how Freemasonry is functioning. We need to be always aware, alert, and careful that exposure is not advertising, because it's difficult to see the difference between the two. For instance, this gentleman is exposing the Freemasons by telling you all about them. But in the same moment he is telling you that it is hopeless, which is a Masonic word. There is nothing we can do. It is too late anyway. So in a way it's a damning revelation of those who have just conquered you And he is a foot soldier of the Masonic elite who has just conquered the masses and taken full control without you knowing. And he's telling you exactly what his masters have done. Which is a part of the Freemasonic behavior, attitude, law, is they need to tell you, because otherwise why would they do all of it? They need to have an audience. So it's like a theatre, it's like a play, it's like a cinema, it's like a Netflix movie, it's like a YouTube video. They all need to have an audience, or else you're just talking to yourself in a loop. Which sometimes I believe is done out there when information is not wanted to get out to the masses. It goes in a loop. So my question about this gentleman is he exposing the Freemasons? Or is he rubbing egg in your face as a soldier of the Freemasons, advertising the Freemasons, boasting of their conquering of you and the fact that there's nothing you can do about it? It's too late now. They're everywhere. Which is true. Which side is he actually presenting? It concerns me the way his hair flops in front of his eye all through the videos, constantly covering the right eye. It should be the left eye that is being covered, which is the female eye. The left-hand side of the body is feminine. Let's just understand this at this point. The left-hand side of the body is feminine. So this side of the body is the feminine side, left-hand side. But it crosses over, to the right-hand brain. This hemisphere of the brain controls this eye and this side of the body. The left side is the right brain. And of course, adjacently, the left brain is the right side. So it just crosses over, yeah? That is the reasoning, folks, for this eye to always be covered. The left eye, the female eye, is shut by the Masons, by the Illuminati, because they are shutting off the left eye of Horus teachings from Egypt, which are the feminine divine teachings, the female energies and the powers of the woman, and what they do with those powers, known as their womanly duties within the system that we now call Egyptian mythology or Egyptian pharaonic history, depending on what you're looking at, which era. So when you see all these Masons, all these Illuminati, all these one-eye followers, you must realize that it's the left eye that is always closed, not usually, that is always closed, because it shuts down the female energy, the female side of the body. It shuts down all the female wisdom, the feminine divine wisdom. It closes it, it encages it, it imprisons it, it locks it down, it switches it off. It switches off the creative feminine divine activity of the brain. it shuts down. This is the switch to the rest of the body, from the brain through this area called the eye, down through the body. It switches it off, it shuts it down. It opens up this side, which is the male dominant side, from the left brain hemisphere. The logical, rational, dominant information of the system. When I say of the system is the human brain. It has two hemispheres, and they've been studied, and they activate a machine which has the brain on there, and the colors will show where the activation is on the brain as it's stimulated physically with probes at first, these days with mental activity that can then be monitored. So that's what's actually happening. The brain is functioning the body through the nervous system, through either a creative pattern coming from your right brain through your left side of your body, or a logical pattern coming from your left brain through the right side of your body. So you've got this crisscross occurring. Now, that understanding could very well be the skull and cross bones. Obviously the reference to the skull and bones is skeletal, human, sacrificial, death, but the crossing bones, they could be parallel, could refer to this crisscross, this understanding of the human anatomy, the human brain and the human function. Because in the same society, the skull and crossbones, you get this one eye understanding, obviously, because the skull and crossbones is one of the names of the same group of people that has traveled through thousands and thousands of years, which we're going to go into in a minute. We're going to go back 13,000 years, start from there, and briefly explain as swiftly as possible, in a few hours, exactly what has occurred over these times, and how we are where we are, and that the same people, the same society, the same group have been running this not for 2,000 years, but for at least 13,000 years. And if we go a little bit further, you will find that it's a cycle. And 13,000 years is half of what's known as the galactic year, or the great year, which is 26,000 years, 13 by 13, two 13,000 year halves of or semicircles make a full circle of 26,000 years, the galactic cycle. Sorry, and if we expand that to the next cycle, 52,000 years, so that's 4 times 13, or 26 times 2, 26,000 times 2, 52,000 years, that's the great year, the great cycle. Half of that, 26,000 years, is what's known as the galactic cycle. Basically, folks, these are universal cycles, what they call energy cycles. So the macro and micro cycles of the geometrical energy dimension system of which everybody is a part. It's a geometrical dimensional energy system. Is kaleidoscopic. like when you used to look through a kaleidoscope, the little thing looks like binoculars, and as you turn it, it makes different patterns. Wonderful. This is somewhat the free play of energy once it has form. So all these forms have free play or free will. That's the world we live in. We and everything around us are these geometric forms that have free will of interplay, like a kaleidoscopic view through the lenses that you see as you turn that little machine called a kaleidoscope. I think what this good man is trying to teach, and I believe he's a good man and I believe what he says, but there's always the awareness and the alertness that needs to come first, and I'm sure he himself will understand after explaining that he is an ex-soldier for the army of Baphomet, the Masonic army of Baphomet, who have come to conquer humans. Then you want to really question whether he has left or not. And if he has, full respects to him. If he hasn't, we're calling you out already. I'm sure he understands we need to cover ourselves. But thank you, mate. Sir Robert Clancy there, Mr. Robert Clancy, thank you. He's presented excellent information, and I would advise watching the 5-hour he presents so I don't have to deal with that. Let's move back swiftly so we understand where we're at to these guys over here. Now, keeping with Robert Clancy there, and Robert, hopefully you get to watch this, I need to correct him in one major area that not only he, as a Masonic soldier himself, or ex, but almost all, have this completely and utterly misunderstood. And we cannot, folks, go into trying to understand the Masonic elite without understanding their most basic and major symbol. Please go to the gentleman I just showed you prior to this and watch Robert's breakdown of this sign, because it's very, very important as to exactly what this sign is, what it means, and the tools it represents. Now, most of the information he gives is very important and accurate. It shows something not many people see, and that is, within that sign is male and female sexual copulation. There is a man prone over a woman. This is the man's legs, this is his butt, and this is the woman's legs. They are open and they are copulating in the G. So they are practicing the God event of procreation, except it's a grand Masonic event. of recreation of the same genetic pattern that the first human was created with. The genetic pattern that has been carried through for 13,000 years. Now I'm going to explain to you categorically how this has come all the way to today, where we are literally influenced daily by this society known as the Freemasonic elite, because they rule everything from the government down in a pyramidical form, much like the one you see over here. So from the top down, they cause severe fear, severe suffering to women and children, as they are the Freemasonic male sex club. Now, their symbolism, their own laws and oaths and ceremonial rituals denote this clearly. There is no question about it. They are proud of this. This society before you makes no differentiation between a god status and a Grand Master status. It is the same. They are the gods. A 33rd degree Freemason, a presidential level Freemason, is a god, exactly as were the Roman gods, exactly as were the Greek gods, exactly the Babylonian and Sumerian gods, because all these gods are the same gods, the same stories under different names to suit the ages. You see, this is a long story. This is a big game. You could equate this quite easily to your 12 signs of the zodiac that run through your configuration of a year over 12 months, or 12 signs of the zodiac. What you would find is that you were in a Masonic matrix, McDonald's, Masonic matrix. McDonald's is run by the Masons. The gold M on the red background is their symbolism. You will find yourself in a Masonic matrix if you enter 12 anything, 12 zodiac signs, 12 hours of the day, 12 moon cycles, etc., etc., etc. Why? Why? Because what I just said to you, 12 zodiac signs, is a Masonic agenda. It's a psyop. It's a psychological operation, and let me explain how and why. A psychological operation simply deals with disinformation. It is misinformation. It is simply to disorientate or confuse you, so that you are not in sound knowledge and sound timing of your journey of life. What do I mean by that? Well, let me explain. Hold on to that cup of tea, folks. Here comes a deep dive. I want you to imagine in your mind a cycle, an infinite cycle. I guess it would look like a spiral. Let's use an example of a cycle that we all know, the seasonal cycle. Most of us have experienced in our lives with some sort of awareness that it simply gets cold and hot at different times of the year. That would be the most basic awareness. Now, if we become aware that it is cold and hot at various times of the year, and we become aware that this is called winter and summer, and we become aware that the plants die in winter and grow in the summer. Actually, they grow in a period just before the summer, most prevalently, which is spring. And they kind of sort of have a dying off period before they're totally dead in the winter, which is called autumn. So they're sort of on a cycle of kind of like maybe growing in the spring and fruiting in the summer and dying off in the autumn and being kind of dormant in the winter, then kind of livening up again and growing in the spring and then fruiting in the summer and then dying off in the autumn and then being dormant in the winter and then growing in the spring. You get the cycle? You get the cycle of things? Yes, quite. This is the seasonal cycle, folks. It's not something you have any control over or can stop. It's a cycle. Let's simplify it to a smaller cycle that we know about, like day and night. You have no control over that either, folks. Maybe you can try for a day or two, or you could use artificial stimulants to stay awake. How much coffee could you drink, or whatever you could take to stay awake? Are there stronger stimulants? But how long would they last? At some point you cannot deny the cycle and must sleep. And then you must also wake. You cannot just stay asleep. Folks, what makes you drip adrenaline when the light shines on your pineal gland? Well, that's what makes you begin to drip adrenaline. And that's what wakes you up. It's a stimulant that you naturally produce, and the light creates it. And folks, what makes you tired at night and fall asleep? It's melatonin. It's created in the same gland called the pineal gland. It's the equal and opposite effect to adrenaline. What creates melatonin? Nighttime creates melatonin. Dark creates melatonin and causes you to sleep and regenerate. And then light creates adrenaline and causes you to wake up. And it all happens in the pineal gland, right in the center of your brain. Right between those two hemispheres that crisscross over Yeah, right between those two hemispheres that crisscross over right there. That if you went up there, that would cross over, and if you continue that line, it would cross over. There's much hidden symbolism beyond just the man and woman copulating in this picture. But we'll come back to that. Let's stick with the cycles of day and night, and the larger cycles of the year, the seasonal cycles, and of course in between that we have the monthly cycles, which totally incorrectly, and we're going to come to that, are bound to the moon when they should be bound to the sun. Because we see the reflection of the behavior of the sun on the earth in the cycle I just spoke to you about, called the seasonal cycle. So when the sun is high, we have summer. When the sun is low, we have winter. So they are directly connected. We know that plants grow in a format called chlorophyll, which is their blood or juice created from the sun, and it's the reason for the formation of the plant. So the behavior of the chlorophyll in the growth of the plant and the formation of the plant is the format of the plant, following its geometrical underlying format. Obviously every plant has a geometrical blueprint within the seed, and it follows that. It cannot deviate from that. It has a plan, every plant, and its plan is always within what's known to us as the Fibonacci sequence, the sequence of nature, which was discovered by Prof. Fibonacci. Now, Fibonacci was an incredible man who I know not very much about, but his love for nature led him into such detailed studies of the plants that this geometry revealed itself to him, and he revealed this geometry to us, which we will get into at the end of this presentation, and how the Fibonacci sequence, geometrical sequence, is the formation of nature, and now you can find the Fibonacci sequence all through nature. Now the Fibonacci sequence, which you find all through nature, is in exact opposition to this sequence which I'm presenting here from the Freemasonic elite. The Fibonacci sequence is a sequence of numbers that move in a format of 1, 2, which is 1, 1, 3, which is 1 and 2, 5, which is 2 and 3, 8, which is 3 and 5, 13, which is 8 and 5. So if you play back what I just said, you will just see that what I did is I took number 1 and I added it to itself, which I got a 2. Then I took number 1 and I added to what was in that space, which was a 1, but now it's a 2. So I got 3. So then I added 2 to 3 as I added 1 to 2 and 1 to 1. As I added 1 to 1, I added 1 to 2, I added 2 to 3, I added 3 to 5, I added 5 to 8, I added 8 to 13, and it goes on. That is the Fibonacci sequence of nature. That is the sequence found in every single plant, tree, every single part of flora, which is the Latin name for foliage, plant, nature, the plant side of nature. There is an animal side, biological. This Fibonacci sequence, as I just showed you, as it ascended through its 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13 status, you never found a 12, because it's the status, the formation, the sequence of 13. It's Fibonacci, it's natural. It's the cycle of nature. It's the formation of nature. And when you go to plants, you will find in their petal formation. When you go to trees, you will find in their branch formation. When you look at shrubs, you'll find in their stem formation. All firstly grow in a spiral. They spiral towards the light. They don't grow straight up. They spiral. And if you watched a plant grow, a tall plant, at speed, in other words, over a few minutes through the seasons, a sped up technology, sped up video footage, you will see how the plant spirals, dances towards the light. It's not a straight process, straight upwards at all. It literally follows the light as the light moves through the day and does its little thing at night. Such is the journey of a plant. But what you have in front of you is the Free Masonic Society, which is their now name, which have developed to this level of control in this civilization over the past 12,500 years. Yes, 12,500 years, almost 13,000 years. They have been procuring the plan of human domination. In the format of deception. So human domination by physical domination, i.e. enslavement and control, physical control by weapons, i.e. encampment, imprisonment, these are vulgar formats of human control. These are of matter. These are of physicality. The rulers of this domain, and I use that word very carefully as it's online or offline, you are in their domain. And the rulers of this domain they rule by 12. They rule by psyop, by psychological operation through your thought process, through your brain, not through your body. The Freemasons and the Illuminati, they do not want to control your body. That is gross. That is profane. That is vulgar. That is human. That is of us pathetic creatures. To control by imprisonment, weapons, guns, war, physical battery and murder, those are of the lower class. Now we are becoming more corporate in our presentation across the plane or the world that we rule over. And we are going to prove to you and show you and control you by psychological operation. We will control your mind. MK Ultra, mind control, ultra mind control. This has been going on for 70, 80, 90 possible years, just the mechanisms, working out how we're going to MK Ultra the minds of the humanity. I say we and speak in the first person for effect. Please don't connect me to these creatures who I reveal. But I reveal them anyway. These rulers, they are ruling by infecting, infesting, pesticiding and chemicalizing, poisoning. The Masonic elite are poisoning your body through your food, water, and the big G, 5G, stands for gigabytes and gigahertz as well, because this is the new domain. No pun intended. These people have moved up a notch in the ladder of eliteness and are now using symbolism, because symbolism is the basic form of human communication, way before language. Hence, all the petroglyphs on the rocks, all the cuneiform hieroglyphs, Aramaic, Hebraic, all the light form languages. Just so you understand that, the light form languages. If you look at Hebraic, the Hebrew language, ancient Hebraic, the first Hebrew alphabet, you will find 26 letters. It may be 24. I have too much information to clarify that right now. Excuse it if it's wrong. You will find a 20-something amount of letters that are the formats of life and light. What you will find is that the actual letters of the alphabet are the exact movement of light. if you watch the logarithmic or pi ratioed movement of light, if you watch, for those of you who don't work on that side of the brain, if you watch the way, the journey that light emanates from a Versica Pisces, the geometrical formation of life and light, the exact shape you see before you over here, here, is a squared, male formatted Versica Pisces. It's a manipulated Versica Pisces. I will show you very basically, without going into the full geometry, a Versica Pisces. It is the shape of your eye. Right. Please look carefully at this demonstration over here, or this picture. Versica Pisces is the formation in the green. The explanation over here is the term Versica Pisces, meaning fish bladder in Latin, is used for the particular symmetric lens formed by the intersection of two equal circles. Two equal circles intersecting, whose centers are offset by a distance equal to their radii. All that fancy language means, folks, is that that side of this circle is in the center of this circle, and that side of this circle is in the center of this circle. So they are equal distances into each other and at their centers, creating the Versica Pisces. Now then, it's actually in reverse, because what you're looking at, folks, never occurs. You never have this circle coming in and interjecting, as they say over here. I think the intersection, by the intersection of two equal circles. The term Versica Pisces, meaning fish bladder in Latin, is used for the particular symmetry lens formed by the intersection of two equal circles. Okay, correct. It is the intersection, not the interjection, which is a very important point for one to understand. Folks, these two circles, they didn't collide into each other and cross over and form this. These two circles were one circle, and they cell divided, just like the cells do in your body. These are cells you are looking at. You could see tennis balls if you like. You could see them as 3D, as balls instead of flat discs. These are cells. This one was this one, and it is now in the process of cell dividing. When one cell divides from another, when one circle divides from another, it can but only form the Versica Pisces which is the formation of all light. It's the format that causes light to exist. It's the geometry that causes light to exist. Why and how? Because out of the Versica Pisces, from its center in perfect logarithmic spiral, in perfect male and female, notice the male moves in 90-degree angles but spirals out, and the female moves in spirals that are feminine and continuous, non-angular. When the Versica Pisces is created by the cell division, light, the format of light, the eye of light, the Versica Pisces, the geometry of light is formed. The perfect geometry of light is formed. Now, if you wanted to take this beyond cell division of the animal body or the biological bodies on Earth, you could take it right back to the beginning. So for a moment, let's just take our mind back, and back. Go back all the way, all the way, all the way. In fact, take this circle back onto this circle and make them black. There's just a black circle. It's a black hole of nothingness. It's just black hole of nothingness. That black hole of nothingness, cell divided, because that black hole is a cell of energy, a battery of energy, a format of energy contained. It's a contained form of energy, which is a battery, which is a cell. It's energy. Energy is omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient. What that means is it can never be formed nor destructed. It always was, it always will be, and it always has been. So it always was, and it always will be. The laws of energy, it's immutable. All energy does is cell divide. All energy does is constantly recreate itself, just like you do. Your cells are constantly recreating, specifically your blood cells, all day and night long, dying and recreating through this process of cell division. Because this was the original process. So go back to the black hole. Here we have a black hole of nothingness. The black hole begins to divide. Its cell divides. And as soon as the black hole gets to this position of two black holes dividing, following the laws of energy and the laws of the matrix of energy, which is the flower of life. The black hole has no option but to follow the laws of energy, which are the flower of life. The flower of life formation, both depicted in my book, the Book of Orb, and in every other book, geometrical book that explains sacred geometry, the flower of life is depicted. What is the flower of life? The flower of life is the pattern of cell division, just like you see before you, of any cell, whether it be a black hole, a black cell, or a light cell of light. As soon as you get two cells dividing in a cell division format and the formation of the versica Pisces, you have the first movement of the cell in the formation of the flower of life. The next movement is this circle chooses a direction, this way or that way, moves in that direction and does the same thing. Now if you see that the center moves of this circle, the center is moved literally to here. Keeping in mind this is the same circle. So that's a quantum physical value. There is only one circle. There's only one cell. It'll become millions, but there's still only the one. It's only one cell. There is nothing else but one. It simply replicates, yeah? There is only one that replicates. They're all replications from the one, as are all simulations from the base simulation. How this works, this pattern, is very basically this. The center of this circle moves to its edge. As you can see, it's now here. So literally this circle, from its center point, the circle moves, and the center point is at the edge of its past circular status, and now it's here. But it's still there because that's the past. This would be the present. Now it's going to do exactly the same thing, and it's going to do the same thing for the rest of its infinitive life. It will never ever stop doing this. It is now here. As this circle, it is now this circle. And its center will now move to its edge. Either edge, doesn't matter. And it will create another circle, just like it did here. Its center moved to its edge and created a circle. Its center will move to its edge and create a circle. And it will continue to do that in a spiral pattern for the rest of infinity, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Let me show you what I mean. It's known as the flower of life. And it's the matrix pattern of energy, just energy. So here we're going to come to what people call God, and the status of God is omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient. It's the exact same status of energy. It's exactly identical. The laws of energy are the laws of God. So when people speak of God as energy, they're very, very accurate. God is energy. Energy is God. The personification of energy, so like over here, Vitruvius, the personification, making energy into a person, which we are. We're a format of energy, obviously. And then giving that person a status over other people. So making a god out of a person. That is problematic. That is where you get your dictatorships, presidential, rulers, authoritarian, etc., etc. Your Hitler, your Tsars, your Sultans, all this kind of idea. Kings, rulers, domineers. That's when one makes this energy into one human, which you can clearly see this energy created all humans equal, absolutely equal. The canon of man, presented to us via Vitruvius, known as Vitruvian man until Da Vinci took over and represented it, and now it's known as Da Vinci man. Da Vinci's presentation of the canon of man, has all the measurements of man from taken at 1.76 centimeters, so 1 meter and 76 centimeters. That's the average height of man or woman. We reference man as woo, man or man, but we're talking genderless. As you can see here, both genders are represented. I would imagine the woman is behind the man, because this is in Masonic times. Vitruvian and Da Vinci were both Masons under different names, meaning the Masonic the Masonic group was not called the Scottish Rites of Freemasonry at this period of time. I am not sure which one it is. Do excuse me, folks. Sorry. Give me 1 second. I'm not sure which period of time, perhaps Skull and Crossbones, but that's irrelevant. What's important is to realize that the creation of the flower of life, the creation of this pattern, and how it got there, this is its first formation. Now, if you look carefully, we may find exactly a picture of how it's developed here. We can go into that in a second. If you just look at the basic formation, use your mind and see this as the first circle. Follow my, make it bigger. See this as my first circle. Remember our first circle? Okay. Our first circle took its center and it moved its center to here. Here's our next circle. You see it? And when it did that, it created the versica Pisces. So between this circle center and this circle center, here is your versica Pisces. That colored turquoise bit that I was just showing you, sorry, over here, that bit there is this bit here, colored in. You see it, folks? You see it there as I move across the space? The whole piece. Look at it. That's it. I'm going to flick back so you can see it again. Last time. Right. Now remember what I said to you. That circle clones itself and moves and becomes over here. Then that circle clones itself and takes its center to its edge and clones itself, and there it is. And then it keeps repeating. It takes the center to its edge along this line right there, and it clones itself. And it goes to the edge and it clones itself, and it repeats that pattern until you get what's called the flower of life, which is actually the seed of life in front of you here, which becomes the fruit of life as this pattern continues. You see, once the center decides to move to its edge and recreate itself, clone itself, and then move to its edge and recreate itself, and continue to move around the edge of the original circle and clone itself, following a very distinct pattern, never leaving the edge of its circle, cloning itself, it will come back to the original spot. Now it's already cloned itself, so it's not going to repeat that. It's not stupid. So what's it going to do from here? Well, it can only do what it did before. It can only repeat exactly what it knows what to do. But it can't repeat it in the same space, because it did that already. Because this is the energy of creation. This is the God energy. So it's going to create itself, because it's a pattern, a geometrical pattern, but not in the same space. So it only has one option from this point. It needs to do what it did from here. It moved to its edge and it made a circle. So from this point it needs to move to its edge and it will make a new circle, and the pattern will then continue to spiral around until it comes back to the same space and will make a new circle and keep spiraling around. And that is how you get this formation, these formations. They're just a continuation of the same format, of the same pattern, spiraling around and around and around. And yeah, it's just got an edge to it, because this pattern of spiraling can go on forever and ever and ever. And it's what created what we know as the energy matrix, or the energy formation pattern, in which you will find every single energetic and physical form, including thought and emotion. This pattern is known geometrically as the God pattern. This is the omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent energy matrix known as God. So God is not a physical white man with a beard that rules Christianity and has a son called Jesus. That is just one small Western white man story within this pattern. For instance, within this flower of life pattern that I'm showing you, within this matrix pattern, just one of these circles, that's simplified for you, maybe that's, there we go, just one of these circles, maybe not the center one, any one, they're all equal. This was just the beginning. It had to begin somewhere and then replicate itself, but they're all equal. They're all identical. It's not like this one then became that one. This one is that one. This is the quantum physical status. This is the God understanding. There is only one, and it just replicates itself. It's everywhere at once. Omnipresent, omniscient and omnipotent. It has energy and potency. We know it does. It's called electricity. Just test it on your hand. Stick your finger in a socket. I did it when I was 4. I knew there's power there. Here's my question, folks. In this formation, in this, if we accept this is the geometrical expression of the godly status, omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient. If we accept that, then I'll ask you, if this circle over here is the Christian God with the white beard and he has the son Jesus, and this circle over here is the God Allah and he has the son Muhammad, and this one over here, this is the God Vishnu and Krishna and Brahma, that's their son. And this one over here, this is the Mayan of Quetzalcoatl and Kukulkan and the whole Mayan dialects. And this one over here, this is the Aboriginal gods of Bolong. This one over here, this is a Native American god. This is Wankantanga. Now I want to know from you folks, which god is better? Because all these gods are the same. Remember what I told you? This is the same circle. There is no difference. This is the same circle. It's not another circle. This is quantum. This is energy we're talking about. This is not the gross, vulgar, profane, minute mind of the Mason who says that that is your mind. Because clearly, as one of those profane, vulgar, minute-minded people, I'm explaining to you the Masonic agenda. I'm explaining their game. So, and I've worked out their game. So that may show that my mind is not so profane, vulgar, and inappropriate to the Masonic elite. Maybe they can understand that they are vulgar, profane, and inappropriate. Nor welcome, nor wished, nor wanted. In fact, you are like the self-proclaimed, self-created beast. You yourselves, the Scottish Rite of Freemasonic Society, who now rules the world, from your King Charlie III all the way down through his son, who are about to dominate Western society through Serco, who are about to bring in the social crediting system that has been experimented on in China. The same society who shakes hands all around the world. Mr. Trump, playing the trump card for the Masons, went around the world and shook hands with all the Masonic leaders, if you didn't see. You wonder why he did that? It's time, folks. Trump was the trump card. He was the Berlin Wall. He is the Hitler, or was, or is, as you like to see it. This doesn't lie with one man ever. They are all puppets in the Masonic show. There is an agenda and it must be reached. No man is invincible, and every man is replaceable. But the agenda must be reached. Now, the agenda of the Freemasonic Society at the moment in your lives is about deception. They need to have you believe a certain idea, ideology, and concepts for you to comply with their agenda. Therefore, they use psyopses, psychological operations, constantly to control your mind, to control your body, so that you don't rebel. The only thing they do not want you to do is not to comply. You must obey. It's written all over the fashion of the day. Check it out. It's a fashion statement. Obey. The idea of gods is a control mechanism, a psyop. there's a God for every culture. Because imagine you went to the Muslims and tried to sell them the Christian God. And imagine you went to the Christians and tried to sell them the Muslim God. And there's a reason why I'm using those two races, because we could use any others. And that's because in the past, the Moors, which were the Arabs, had come across the Med and controlled and run and ruled Spain and all the way up through to France, right near I think right into France. Of course, in the Christian Moorish wars, they were pushed right back, and of course now you have the boundaries you have and the problems you have. But these Christian Moorish wars, these Arab Christian wars, these white Muslim wars never went away, as you can see over the past couple of years from America's behavior. And now, as some of us are alerting you to, the Hilton hotels have recently been taken over as encampments for up to 200 Muslim men. Not many women and children seen in these places. What you would call asylum seekers from their turmoil of their country. But you would think that it would be equal in males and females, or particularly females, so to secure the reproduction of the race, you know, after the genocides and turmoils that they've gone through from America, basically. What else can we say? It's been splurred all over television. No secret there. But why do we have these encampments of basically soldiers, men, Muslim men, Moorish men, in Christian country, and not sort of integrating as families in the way it used to be done? So one has to start to ask, what are these Muslim pods or cells throughout the UK? And what's going on with these people, and why are they there, and what are they preparing for? Is this a possible preparation for a civil Muslim-Christian war? Is the UK government or beyond the deep state going to throw in, through Antifa, some sort of explosive behavior pattern or agenda that's going to kick off a Muslim-Christian war on UK soil? A domestic war, a civil war in the streets. Is that what we're heading for here? It's just a question some people are asking. Just asking for a friend. Fact check me. So getting back to the flower of life, the seed of life, the fruit of life being the first 7 circles here, folks, and there's 7 circles, not 6. 6 around the one cannot be with each other, so there's 7. These 7 circles repeat in 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, and that is the pattern of the flower of life. The flower of life, the matrix pattern, the God pattern, is 777, not 666. That should tell you something. That 777 is above 666. Yeah. So, folks, this is known as the seed of life, and the second phase of 7 is the fruit of life, and the third phase makes your flower of life, which would be something like that. If you can see this inside there, repeated 3 times, you get to this phase. So folks, this is what we call the God energy, or energy. There is nothing before this, which is why it's called the God energy, because before this it's a black hole. It's like that part there. There is nothing, no one thing. We can pop back here and we can maybe say, let's say light forming from Versica Pisces, and then we'll move on, folks. Let's just touch on this. Wow, let's get some images up. Wow, okay, let's find something basic here for you. So, well, for me too. Right, brilliant. I love it. Look at this, folks. Right. I don't like to explain something to you, folks, and then not give you the full understanding. I don't want to say to you the Versica Pisces is the formation of all light without showing you why. And here's why in front of you. The Versica Pisces creates perception, which is the north-south, or this up-down axis, left-right, and there's a forward-backward. So a forward-backward axis. These over here, up-down, left-right, forward-backsies. Forward-backsies. So this is the foundation of the formation of light. Okay, so let's stay with a simple one. The first thing to occur when you get the Versica Pisces is you have these width and length dimensions. That dimension is what's known as the golden mean ratio. Okay, I'm not going to go into what that is. The golden mean ratio is a specific mathematics, which is basically what I showed you, the mathematics of how these circles make this seed of life, which becomes the fruit of life and the flower of life, with this continuous spiral. This is the feminine form, the spiral. Remember I said the masculine form spirals out in angles, but it spirals out bigger and bigger in its angular form. So this is what they're showing you. This is what they're trying to show you there, but that's a little complicated. That's what they're trying to show you here too. The beginning of the formation of the logarithmic spiral that comes out of the Versica Pisces. So as soon as this circle moves itself to its edge, as soon as the center of the circle moves itself to its edge and reforms itself, clones itself, it creates the Versica Pisces, and this logarithmic mathematical geometric form that spirals outward instantly at light speed as the formation of light, as it is light. That is how light is created, folks. One black hole relocated to its center, to its edge, for reforming itself over here in a clone form, creating the Versica Pisces by the formation of the two black holes or circles. And that Versica Pisces, the very first Versica Pisces, spiraled out the matrix of the seed of life, the flower of life, and kept spiraling, and spiraled out what supposedly has been measured to 45 billion light years is the calculation. I believe. Not that it matters. So folks, just let's keep it basic. One sphere, one black hole, relocating its center to its edge, just moving this distance, and just basically one black hole cloning and relocating, so replicating itself and moving to its edge and being there creates the Versica Pisces and the spiral of light. And the spiral of light is the flower of life pattern, which I was just on before, that all of life, this pattern, that all of life is within. Absolutely everything is found within this energy pattern, because absolutely everything is a formation of energy, made from energy. You'll notice that this is a very feminine pattern. You're seeing all the female spirals and the female flower of life. This also has a male aspect to it. It can be seen in a male format. It has obviously male and female energy, as it's electromagnetic, because it's energy. If we add the word male, we may see the male format of it. Oh, I didn't mean male men, I meant male, the male format. I mean, you can see the male format within the female format, very simply, but let's do it a little bit differently. It would be difficult to show you, so it's down the center lines, basically. That's Metatron's cube. That's a tree of life that's found within the flower of life. This is very important over here, Metatron's cube and all the information there. If we look at this, I'll try to show you folks, otherwise I'll go and struggle to find it. If you go to the center circle, let's take the simplified version. If we go to the center circle, it all comes from the center, from the beginning of this first circle. If you took a straight line through to the edge instead of a curvaceous line. So remember how we took this circle and we moved it to its edge and it replicated itself. So from here we moved on a curvaceous line to its edge. So imagine we moved on a straight line. And then this circle replicated itself by moving on a curvaceous line to its edge, to the edge of this circle, and it replicated itself. So imagine again, we didn't move on a curvaceous line, we moved on a straight line. So you've got a straight line from here, and a straight line from here, and a straight line, and now we've got straight lines, you see? But when we get back here, this curved out to here to start the next phase of circles. Remember I told you? But we take a straight line, and then from there a straight line, and then a straight line. So you're going to get a square spiral. That is the male formation of the flower of life, and you see all these circles in squares. But I don't seem to be able to pull it up under that title. I'm not going to run around looking for it, but that's what the male spiral of the formation of the flower of life is. In fact, you know what, folks? Let's see if we can get it under a different name like this. The logarithmic spiral. Let's see if we can get under there for you. Oh, beautiful. So folks, this is the logarithmic spiral of life. This is the spiral that created all of those conches and shells that you see, and created the flower of life pattern, which that is another form of. And in its simplest form, the logarithmic spiral is a golden mean spiral, is a very, very simple mechanism. But you see how this spiral comes out here. Well, imagine this was the center of that flower of life circle that I showed you. So that's the center of your first circle. Then the center of that circle moved to its edge, and it made another circle that crossed through the center like that. Okay? Then that center of that circle moved to its edge and it made another circle. And that center moved to its edge and made another circle. And that circle made another circle. And when it came to the seventh circle, it had to move to the outside, further outside. So come to about the seventh circle here it would be. It needed to move outside and continue the circles. Well, you'll find those circles follow this logarithmic spiral. Circles on circles on circles on circles on circles on circles. So when I was saying to you that the geometry of the flower of life, the geometry of the versica Pisces, the geometry of the center of this, the geometry, why light spirals out of here, is what I'm talking about here, is this geometry. This is the reason why light spirals out of the versica Pisces, because of these rectangles getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and following the same mathematical equation constantly, known as the logarithmic spiral, forming this logarithmic spiral. And this equation is very, very basic. It's a rectangle, it's this rectangle, and it's, you'll have to look up the mathematics, I can't recall off my top of my head, but it's super basic. You basically take a rectangle and then you take 1/3 bigger each time. I think that's how it works out. Yeah, 1/3 bigger. And there's a mathematics for it. It's like this width divided by that length, something or another, or added. Sorry folks, I don't have the mathematics in my brain right now, but it's so easy to look up under logarithmic spiral the mathematics of a logarithmic spiral and go down that. I wanted to sort of stay a bit more general and not go down too deep in too many rabbit holes, because we won't get to where we're trying to get to. So I'll leave. We can always get back to any of this area that you're interested in. We can do a video on it, but I'll just leave you with that now, because that's basically my point. The logarithmic spiral, the phi ratio, the golden mean spiral, the mathematics of all spirals that create all these patterns and conches and creatures and all things in life when you go into it, that spiral comes out the center of the versica Pisces. Right there you can see it. I think that was quite a good one. You can see there cyclones, all sorts. I mean, it's all through life. Comes out the center of the versica Pisces. Yeah, you can see. Now, yeah, is excellent. It shows you that this spiral not only spirals this way, but it equally spirals out in the opposite, equal and opposite direction. So you get this double spiral, which you can see here, makes the versica Pisces. As you go deeper, it gets more clear. There's a smaller one, a smaller, and it goes into itself. It's micro and macro, large and small, and it's what you known as pixelated. So it's replicated under, you can see this under the Mandelbrot fractals. Mandelbrot, it's almond bread in German. So if you go and look under M-O-N, Mondel, D-E-L, Brot, B-R-O-T, Mandelbrot fractals, you will see the energy formation that he created technologically for you to understand how the macro and micro, as above so below, law of, well, came through Thoth, but the law of understanding of the system expresses itself digitally on computer. So you can see the micro and macro idea replicate itself in front of you and get an understanding of how, no matter how deep you go into the pattern, you will always find the same pattern. No matter how small, how micro you collapse in, you will always find the same geometry and the same mathematics, just on a very small format. It'll be micro. And no matter how much you expand outwards, you'll always find the same mathematics. It will just be on a macro level. Kind of like everybody knows you take a seed. You plant a seed, and in the end a tree grows. A whole tree comes out of the seed. That's magnificent. That's magic. What's really magical, though, is all the information to make a tree was in the chip. Sorry, the seed. The seed is a digital chip of information, but it's a biological chip of information. It's a flora. It's part of the chlorophyllic chip of information. It's a natural chip of information. So, who created, and get this, folks, yep, you just got it. Who created all these biological chips of information that when they come in contact with darkness under the soil and water, moisture, two of the elements available, propagated by warmth, light, the sun, and pollinated by wind, grow into plants that the fauna, the other side of the experiment, the other side of nature, can consume, gain nutrition from, and live by. Who created the biological chips that hold information, that create forests, ecosystems, complete and utter ecosystems that sustain life? Who created those chips? Because seeds are chips of information. That is an incredibly self-sustaining biological fauna and flora, plant and animal, co-respirating, carbon dioxide, oxygen sharing system. The animals breathe out their oxygen and the plants breathe it in. The animals breathe out carbon dioxide, the plants breathe it in, and the plants breathe out oxygen, the animals breathe it in. Us, we breathe it in. Who created that beautiful, beautiful natural system that has all the information in all its little chips and seeds, that grows forests for its animals, us, and we can all live in harmony without anything else? Because that system, that natural fauna and flora system, that biological, magical, beautiful, peaceful system, that system is a little bit different to computer chips, which hold information, which go into robots, which then do what they're told according to the chip, and they're made of metal, and they don't grow anything, and you can't consume anything from them, and they don't give you nutrition, and then they're not symbiotic. So the information in the chips goes into robots to make you enslaved, to make work for people, and in the end to make people redundant once the robots work better than people with the chips of information, with the robots you made and the chips you made. So humans are basically outsourcing. I'm sorry, they're not outsourcing themselves, they're obsoleting themselves. Humans are suiciding, they're taking their life, they're deceasing themselves, they're unliving themselves is the new word. Basically, humans are automating themselves out of jobs and then out of necessity, and you won't be necessary anymore. So then the Georgia Guidestones, which were put up a couple of years ago, that as the new 10 commandments for the new modern society, the new age, by the new world order, Novus Seclorum, Orden Seclorum Nordus, the new age, by these folk. And as they state on the right on the top, they want to bring down humanity to 500,000 controllable elite humans living in smart cities, and have the rest of the functions run by chipped robots and computers, which basically makes possibly 8 or 8.5 billion people, 9 billion, 9.5 billion people obsolete. So how are they going to get rid of 9 billion people? That's bigger than any world war ever. Or is it? What does it take to get rid of 9 billion people? Nuclear war? Genocide? Poison? Flood? Alien invasion? Which one? Probably war is too gross. It's profane. It's vulgar. It's of the peasantry, slavery, pathetic, lower vibrational humans like us. Floods, oh my gosh, what a mess. And does it take a long time for the water to retract? Oh, gosh. How profane, vulgar. Let's say virus. Well now, tried that already in 2019. It's kind of working, but it's a bit slow. We're not so happy with the results. We thought they'd be more like a pandemic, like maybe like people falling down everywhere, but no. So, what shall we do? Well, those aliens, those bad aliens, those greys that we've been psyoping the nation for years and years with, they're on every chip packet and biscuit packet and all over the place, on every movie across Netflix, every cinema. The neuro-linguistic programming, the predictive programming, the brainwashing is obvious. Everybody knows from Roswell to right now about grey aliens. You don't know about any other aliens, but you know about the greys. So that is what you call preparation. Because these people can't create realities, they need you. That's why they tell you things. You ask always, why do they tell us? Because they need you. They don't have the creative capacity. Like they're telling you, their left eye is shut. Their feminine divine, their right brain that runs the left side of their existence is shut off. They don't have feminine creative ability. They only have logical dominant ability. The male dominant side of the brain is fully functioning, 100%. There is no feminine divine creative ability. So they can't create realities because they don't have emotions. because they chose to kill that side of themselves a long time ago, to set aside emotion and to work from the logical left brain, the male, let's call it the male brain. And hence they shut off the female brain, shown by the left eye closing, or the female side of the body closing down. Now, this male dominance through the digital age, smart cities and Masonic control of the elites, with the Hunger Games idea, everybody out on the peripheries trying to survive, that's basically where this obscene, obsessive Masonic society wants to end up, with an elite world, and the vulgar, profane scum can now be dismissed because we have robots who are less vulgar and profane and will do our jobs for us at the drop of a hat, without any yes or no, or even possibility of saying no, because they have been programmed. This is the world of absolute authoritarian control, the dystopian world of George Orwell, 84, and written in 48, that he was on about. And whether or not in the up and coming, and it is up and coming, by 2030 it will be your reality, so stand by. The alien invasion actually involves greys from elsewhere, greys from subterranean, cloned greys, Project Blue Beam of projected greys, whether it's projected from the space station, and Elon Musk's SpaceX is basically the big space stage event coming up. It doesn't really matter who's involved or what. What matters is that the Masonic society need to eliminate a large amount of humans, and they are looking for a way to do that at the moment. We're talking about most of us. What they've chosen to go for is an alien invasion, so they can blame somebody who's not human, basically. Averting blame. But as that's not really actually possible, they will stage this event. They will use projected alien craft through Operation Bluebeam, and they will fire on humanity from the space stations, and all sorts of sub-dimensional craft. So to you they will appear like UFOs, or what they're calling UAPs, but these are all reverse engineered, either alien craft or informed. In other words, the information is, I'm not so sure they ever actually have any craft, but they certainly have the information on how to create these craft, and have done since Admiral Beard went down to so-called investigate the Antarctic. But what I believe Admiral Beard was a patsy. I believe Admiral Beard was sent down there with tanks, planes, ships and armed forces on a small micro level to see how the armed forces of that time, in 40 whatever it was, 50 whatever it was, when Admiral Beard went down there, would fare against the Foo Fighters. So the craft, the anti-gravitational craft that had been created by the Nazi scientists that they were working on in Germany and then moved it to the Antarctic base, that fight there, that's documented by Admiral Beard and some in his diary, and that whole story was basically a micro war against alien craft. And of course the Foo Fighters did very well and obliterated Admiral Beard's ships, planes and tanks with no problem. And he went back and reported on that. So that was almost 50 odd years ago, maybe 60. And you can imagine where we are now with that technology. You're seeing what's called Tic Tacs flying around, which appears like they're alien because they're non-gravitational, and they seem to be moving at what's close to light speed. They seem to be subterranean, subaqua. Very, very minimal limitations. But all of that is very simply information created, just like a computer chip. Imagine somebody saying to a farmer 100 years ago, explaining a computer chip, or even asking him to create one, to invent one. It's impossible. So the information develops slowly, and finally we get to computer chips now, in this era. Same with craft. Slowly we create more craft, and we get to this time, in this era. Please don't believe that your public knowledge is in the era. It's probably 100 years behind. Anything we know happened 100 years ago, at least. Maybe 50 if we're lucky. So let's understand what we see now, they got right 50 years ago. So let's move on, folks. So that now we understand the spirals of light and why the Versica Pisces ejects a spiral of light in a male and female form, and that they come out of this Versica Pisces, of the movement of black holes, which continue that movement and create the matrix of energy and the God, what's known as the God matrix. It brings us all the way back to the beginning, which is the Masons. So this image you see, folks, let's just pop up one of these a bit bigger. This image you see is the Versica Pisces in a male form. So yeah, let's deal with male is straight lines and angles. So 90-degree angle is the absolute male epitome. Any other straight lines and angles are all male. So this diamond shape is a male Versica Pisces, the male formation of light, out of which comes the Grand Master. So they are controlling the light matrix on which everything is based. God, Grand Master, gravity, geometry, and much, much more. Now, the thing about the Grand Masters and Freemasonry and the usage of the male straight lines and angles and the tools that make straight lines and 90-degree angles, i.e. the set square and the dividers. Did you hear me? Every YouTuber out there, every Masonic presenter out there, every single person from this day on talking about the Freemasons and their symbol. Please correct yourself and start speaking of this geometric tool as dividers. The tools of the Mason are the set square. It's a square that is set. It's a set square. It's a non-mutable, non-movable right angle. 4 of them make a square. In 3D, a cube. Cubes on top of each other are called buildings. The Masons are the builders of civilizations. They are the Freemasons, your civilization creators. They create civilizations with straight lines and angles. Civilizations are created and produced in cities. Cities create civilizations. Cities and civilizations are based in Masonic rule or rulers of measurement and distance and time and position and placement of buildings on nodal points, grid points, reference points, knowledgeable reference points, points where you know where to put them for what reason. These buildings are created with 90-degree angles called corners. These buildings are created with 90-degree angles called corners and distances between the next corner, from corner to corner. It could be a very long distance. These distances from set square 90-degree angled corner to corner are measured with dividers. Dividers measure distance and hold straight-lined distance. Dividers are not a compass. There is no pencil point. There is no point of attachment for a pencil. This tool of geometry is a divider. It divides the people from the elite. It also measures straight lines. A compass is not for measurement. A compass one attaches a pencil to and draws circular, feminine, divine features, not male, straight-lined Masonic features. Folks, in sacred geometry, straight lines and angles are known as male geometry. And curvaceous lines are known as female geometry, the flowers of life, female geometry. This is male geometry. Pyramids are straight lines and angles. This is male geometry. If you go to the pyramids and you do the measurements of the pyramids, you will find the pyramid measurements are based on 12. You will find that the Masonic elite is based on 12. You will find that the Masonic system under which you live is based on 12. We started this earlier by explaining to you that you live by 12 hours. You live by 12 months. Yep. You live by the system of 12. And the system of 12 rules your life. And the system of 12 is a system of 6, which is 12. Your tides move in and out 6 hours on a 6-hour cycle. That is not natural. It's implemented by the moon. The moon is an artificial invasion to the system, which affects the waters on Earth and causes tides to come in and out on a 6-hourly pulse, magnetic pulse, which the moon pulses down to the Earth. In ancient history, in the ancient writings, it is explained that the moon was not always there, and it explains when and how it was brought in to this environment, and that where it was brought from and who it brought with it, and how that controlling elite of 12, the Council of 12, how the moon is the headquarters of the Council of 12, and how the Council of 12, known as the Free Masonic Society, the Scottish Rites of Freemasonry at present, known through many names through the past to keep themselves hidden, are now ruling your world under the guise of the pulsations of their HQ, the moon. You work under a clock divided in half of 6 hours, doubled into 12 hours, doubled into 24 hours. You work under the pulsation, the magnetic pulsation, the magnetic timing of the moon, which is an artificial invasion, an artificial insemination. It's come into your system and your culture. You now accept the moon as the feminine to the sun, which is absolute bullshit. The opposing and counter-beneficial gender of the sun is the earth. If you want to make the sun the male, the earth is the female. But they are counter-beneficial. It's not really about male and female, it's about two friends. Without the source of UV light, life cannot exist on Earth. Without the sun, nothing lives. Take away the sun, and darkness will prevail, and all life will cease. Take away all life, and what is the point of the sun but to scorch nothingness? So you will find that the Sun and the Earth work in perfect harmony. And the Sun's orbital pattern affects the Earth in an electromagnetic form and cycle of 28 days, not the Moon. The Moon has a 28-day cycle of waxing and waning, full moons and new moons. But this is simply to mimic the Sun. And to take the place of the Earth and the Sun. So instead of woman menstruating and connecting with the Sun as their cycle, being the Sun is all man and woman's cycle. When it's low, it's winter, remember? When it's high, it's summer, and in between, it's spring and autumn. The Moon has nothing to do with that. Planting by the Moon is insane. You need to plant by the Sun. That's the thing that grows. That's the source that grows everything, not the Moon. There is much deception amongst humanity. So you can see how your humanity is riddled with 12 by the Council of 12 who are here to confuse and confuddle your minds and to control them in the end. Why would you live by daily, hourly timing of 12 instead of 13, when 13 is your natural cycle? Why, when you see, and let's use the Moon, 13 full moons, so the Moon trying to mimic the 13 sun cycles, and we use the Moon there to show you, because you can't see the 13 sun cycles, but you can see 13 full moons trying to mimic those 13 sun cycles every 28 days over 1 year period. So over 1 year period you have 13 full moons of 28 days. When you do that calculation, 13 times 28, you get 364 days, not 365 days. Now therein lies a huge Masonic psyop, because if every year is 1 day longer than its cycle, in other words, imagine every December for the last 2,000 years, you added on 1 day. So the first December was the 31st of December, no? But the second was the 32nd. Then it was the 33rd, 34th, 35th, 36th. By now you'll have December the 2054 or something, won't it be? So that's what I'm showing you. The natural cycle is 364 days in that cycle, in what's called a yearly cycle. There are many cycles. There's greater years and smaller day cycles and weekly cycles and monthly cycles. But that cycle of 13 times 28, 13 sun cycles of 28 days seen by the Moon mimicking the Sun, is 364 days. That's the cycle. You can't add another day and tell humanity that there's 365 days in that cycle, because every year they will be going out of time by 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. On year 10 you'll be out of time by 10 days. Any builder will know if you take a level and it's slightly out, 10 meters away from the level in either direction, it's very out. And the further you go, the more out it is, meaning the more discrepancy there is between level and unlevel. Well, it's the same with time. Exactly the same as with measurement. If you add 1 day on every year for 2023 years, you're 2023 days out of time, out of your natural cyclical timing. And of course, if you put a leap year in there once every 4 years, you add on an extra day every 4 years for all that 2023 years, which gives you about 500 and something, 404 years. And when you add those all together, you end up with approximately 2,500 years, 2,500 something years. When you divide that by 364, you end up with almost 8 years. Days. So you end up with 2,500 days, and when you divide that by 364, you end up with 8 years. What I'm telling you, folks, is now in 2023, you are 8 years ahead of the natural Mayan and universal cycles of time. So in 2020, when the shit hit the fan properly for everybody, that was actually 2012. But you were 8 years ahead of time because you've been put out for 2,000 years out of time by lies, manipulation of your calendar. Interesting. When time was reset in the Great Reset at the so-called birth of Christ, AD BC. Remember that Christ, that Jesus, that Son of that God was so-called murdered on the 33rd year of his life, 33rd degree Freemasonry, sacrifice, murder. You've got to look at the stories, folks. The people have been around a long, long time under different names. This group has been traveling. They are known as the creators of civilization, the Council of Nine. They are responsible for the creation of Sumeria, Babylon, Greece, Rome, and the modern society we have today. These are your anti-naturalists. These are the people who put concrete down and build with set squares and dividers. They measure distance and angle. Distance and angle. You ask me, how can you measure long distance with a divider? Well, you measure whatever distance you need to and times it by whatever distance you need to. It's that simple. You can take this distance out into the anywhere, and you can put a distance on here, and then you times about 1,000, 2,000, 10,000, and you'll get your distance. That's what it's for. It's a divider. It measures distance, and as you tighten the screw, it stays in position and holds the distance. While this measures angle, the 90-degree angle, and of course here you have your metric centimeters on there, your metric design, your metric measurements. This same Council of 12 brought you the metric measurements of 10, the decimal, 10, 100, 1,000, million, ones and zeros. What else is ones and zeros? Yes, the binary code of computers, of the silicone invasion, the silicone aliens, because that's what they are. The whole technological world is created from silicone, and we are carbon. And that's the problem. It's a carbon-silicone war on one level and a spiritual war on another. So just so you understand, folks, quite categorically, the Masons and the Illuminati are all in one. There's only one society running the whole world at the moment, and they are symbolized by this eye, by the pyramid. By the pyramid here, you see it there, you see it there. By this sex symbol, the man copulating with a woman. By the G, by the explosion, by everything that this sign tells you it is, often seen with the I or the G or both of them. You understand that these are the people running your so-called globe, what they tell you live on a globe, which is another conspiracy, but we're not going into that right now. These people, they don't measure globes. They have no idea how to measure a sphere. They're not feminine divine. These people are masculine. They build right angles and straight lines. That's what they build. Skyscrapers, buildings, and cities. That's their thing. Now then, as you can see over there is top of skyscraper. So please, folks, let's get that right, that is not a compass, okay? That is not a compass. A compass is used very differently. So here's a very obvious difference. It's got images, and we pop one up for you. Let's just get a compass up. So folks, this is a compass. It has a pencil and a place to hold it, and it has a 2/3 length of arm. It doesn't even go to the end. That's so that you can put the pencil there, and this is a point, and it holds on the paper, and you draw circles. A compass is for drawing different types of circles. You reduce this here, the pencil comes in, draws smaller circles. You extend this to where it is like now and draws bigger circles. So that is a compass, folks. Okay? In a geometrical set, here is the compass. It has a place to take a pencil. Okay, I just showed you over there. These are dividers. They are the equal length arms like this one over here. They are dividers. Okay? This is not a compass. This is incorrect. These are... Oh, sorry. This one has a pencil point. Sorry, folks. Excuse me. That is a professional compass. That is a pencil point. They're tricking me. I did Google compass. It's my fault. But let me just show you. Let's just expand this again. So these are two different compasses. Sorry. That one gets a pencil, they're mechanical. That one's got a pencil point. But here is your divider. Two equal points, equal lengths, and this is the Masonic divider. So let's just go to... Let's just pop up divider instead of compass, and I'll show you the difference. Nearly fooled myself there. Glad I saw that. And so these are your dividers, folks. Simple, any one of them, they're all the same. Dividers, they are for dividing, okay? That's a divider. That is what you're seeing in the Masonic picture over here. This is a divider, okay? A divider. Alright, you see the points there? This one hasn't got two... This one's a better point, or this one. It's a divider. Look at the same length. Comes to a point. No pencil involved. Please, folks, let's get this right. Everybody out there, focus and spread the word. There's a divider, not a compass. Everybody refers to it as a compass in the Freemasonic symbol. This is not a compass. It's a divider. Compasses are for feminine divine geometry. This is for masculine dominant geometry. Please, folks, it's like... I don't know what to say. It's like saying a skirt is shorts. It's not. One's for females and one's for males, not getting gender based and anybody can wear anything they like, but it's just the idea, what can we use? Everything's neutral gender now, so it's difficult, but generally in the past flowers were for females and whatever was for a man, maybe a tool for his job, so compasses are for feminine geometry. They're for drawing circles. And dividers are for male geometry. Because the Freemasons are a male sex club ruling the world. Comes from the ancient male sex clubs that have ruled the world forever. And, well, not forever. The world used to be symbiotically community-based, which was when it was run by nobody and ruled by nature. And let's go with it here, folks. We used to be ruled by nature. We used to be ruled by the Versica Pisces and the flower of life and the laws of nature and fauna and flora and how they interact. Yes, there was predatorial behavior from animals to other animals, which seems cruel, but it also seems necessary. Because in a fauna-flora natural symbiotic situation, one would have to have the animals die and new animals born, and same with plants, and something has to clean all of that up. Plants become compost and biodegrade, but animals have other animals which clean them up and clear them up. Herds, on a herd basis, the herd stays strong because the elderly are devoured by predators and sometimes the young are taken, unfortunately, but that's a cruelty of nature. It's just because they're available or weak, as are the elderly, but the elderly should be taken and the new generation should keep the herd strong. But the point is the herd stays strong. It's all about evolution and continuation. It's all about continuation, actually, let alone evolution. It's not about evolution, it's about continuation. It's about continuing, staying alive, regenerating, continuing the race or the species. That's what it's all based on. Nature. Somewhere along the line of communities living in nature and living as the Native Americans used to live, and many other communities around the world, the Native Aboriginals, the Native Alaskans, the Native Africans, all the native people of the world lived by nature, by natural law, amongst nature, with nature, for nature, completely engrossed in nature, eating from nature, drinking from nature, totally living by the sun and the night and the day cycles, fully engrossed in the cycles of life. Natural life, nature being the ruler of that life. Meaning there is no ruler, because nature is just a system and you're part of it. So there's no ruler, there's just a system and you're part of it. It's like a community. Somewhere along that line, about 13,000 years ago, came a dominant force from elsewhere. We relate to that as Mars and the civilization that used to be on Mars self-destructed with nuclear war, pretty much due to the fact that they came to a position we're in now, basically replicated it here on Earth. So they came from Mars after the destruction, brought the moon as their HQ, Council of 12, come to Earth and begin replicating their civilizations that were on Mars on Earth. Hence you see the pyramids and many other constructions, ancient civilization constructions, following the mathematics of 12 and decimal mathematics, the mathematics of these people, the mathematics of the invaders of nature, the mathematics of the creators of civilization, the mathematics of the AI gods, the artificial gods, the Martians, the Masons, The Mason Martians, the Martian Masons. Yeah? Ma sons, the sons of Mars, the sons of Ma. These people have come to Earth, to the creation of nature. How is nature here? How is such a perfect symbiotic fauna and flora system here that works absolutely perfectly? Who created that system? Certainly not the Martian Masons. Oh no, not the sons of Ma, not the sons of Mars, not them. They create civilizations. They come down and they clear spaces and they concrete and then they build cities, remember? With these tools. They make them in right angles and different lengths and heights. But all boxes on boxes. Squares on squares, cubes on cubes. Black checkered and white checkered floors, black and white checkered floors. Even in Mecca, when the Muslims travel to their Makkah, in Mecca, on their pilgrimage, they circle around a big cube, a square, a Masonic symbol. And they are about to build in one of their smart cities, the Cube City, this massive cube to integrate a whole world inside it, an artificial world based on Bluetooth projections. What you're seeing, folks, is the Masons have a master plan. The master plan is to cease your existence by 2030. Or at least 8 to 9 billion of you. And to put the rest of you elites, only the Masons will survive. Only the ones signed up into the Masonic rituals and the Masonic society. Even some of the lower ones, they still need you, but only the Masons will survive. If you're not in the society, you're not invited. If your name's not on the list, you're not coming in. So all these names and elitists are being gathered at the moment to be put into these smart cities where they will be protected. And the rest of us will become like Hunger Games. You will be the outsiders and you will have nothing but that you can survive and scrounge for. This is the idea of 5G, 6G, 9G, controlling these robotics. You need high power, high energy. It's like having a 12-volt battery, a car battery, and trying to run your house. It's not going to work. You might get a little 12-volt light going, and that's about it. So you need more and more gigabytes for more and more smartness. And that's more and more radiation. That's more and more death. More and more cell death called cancer. So that's where we're going. These people bring you poison in all your food and water. They poisoned all the waters of the Native Americans and poisoned their lands and stole their gold, because these people are gold hunters. That G, that could be for gold. And that's been going on hundreds and thousands of years, the mining of gold and the thieving of gold from various areas for usage. These are the people who steal, pillage, murder, rape, kill, sacrifice, use rituals, dark magic, demons, entities, jinns, all sorts of anything dark and devious that can do any sort of destruction and damage on their behalf they will use. You are looking at the hand and symbol of the elitist dark forces. It doesn't get worse than this symbol and these people who follow this. And there's millions of them. And they're planning to decease you, de-life you, through their agenda process, the agenda project of 25 and 30. But Agenda 2030 has the human population decrease down to 500,000 from the now 9 billion. So you do the maths there, as I said, 8.5 billion people need to disappear. What are those people? What becomes of them? Do they get shot, murdered, burnt at the stake, evaporated, nuked? Do aliens come down and gather them up and eat them? Are they alien fodder like cow food? I don't know. You tell me. You work out what's going to happen to all these people. They're all us, me and you. What's going to happen to us? Because these guys have a plan. Yeah. So please understand that these are your master masons. These are your master builders. These are your civilization creators. They create civilizations. And they enslave you into those civilizations out of the community you used to be part of. The free community, the free nature, your free right to roam as a free man and woman on common ground under common law. Do no harm, damage, or do no harm to anybody. Do not damage their property. That's the basic laws. Do no harm or damage to anybody. Bring nothing harmful to anybody. Be a peaceful, decent person and go about your life in a communal way, carrying out your duties if you're so bound to. That's it. It's simple. Oh, no, 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 no. Come, these guys, with their godly, gold, grand mastery, gravity, geometry, laws and status. The Council of 12 come down and dominate the world by throwing concrete everywhere and putting up civilizations where nature used to be. Literally where your food and life used to be, they threw concrete and enslaved you to their life and fed you their food. That's who these guys are. Whether it's Donald Rumsfeld, the ex-Secretary Defense Minister of America, becoming the Food and Drug Administrator Director and poisoning you with aspartame, or whether it's him going in with his sarin gas into the Middle East and killing people outright, whether it's any of the presidents other than the murdered presidents, Kennedy, I think JFK, and the other one, Lincoln, standing up against these guys and going, hang on, are you fucking crazy? Yeah, they dead. Every other president said yes sir, no sir, 3 bags full sir, carried out every 32 and 33 degree level of Freemasonry ritual that they needed to, including child sacrifice, child murder, bestiality, animal murder, woman rape, murder, pillage, all sorts of theft and deception. They are all the Scottish rites, 32 Scottish rites of Freemasonry, explicitly the 33rd Scottish rite of Freemasonry. And those are the public rites. Beyond the 33rd rite of Freemasonry, they are non-public rites. We're not even going to go there because they're non-public. You would have to be a 33rd degree Freemason to know what the 34th degree is. So I think it's fair to say that without attaching names like Luciferian and Satanic and devil worshipping, we can just simply say these are inhumane. The Freemasons are inhumane. They're not human. They're not pro-human. They're not for humans. They're anti-human. That's what they are. They've enslaved you into their Freemasonic system. They built a civilization and put you in it to work the civilization, because they're not going to work their civilization. It's their fucking civilization. You're going to work it. You are going to be the slave and you're going to do all they say in their civilization. You are not in charge. They are. And you are going to run their civilization, And you are going to run it by the love for the currency that they put into the situation, the energy called money, on which you find this symbol showing that the Masons run the money. You will find this symbol everywhere that's important in the world, because it's showing that they are in charge and they are running you and they are ruling. And the male dominant Grand Master is in charge, the God figure, the Freemasonic male dominant figure, which is dominant over all feminine divine understanding, all females and all children. Just look at the systems being in place. Just look at the oaths. Just look at the laws when you're going to studying Freemasonic rituals and law. You will understand what these people are about. These people have just introduced, not only in the past did they introduce what's called education to deceive and brainwash you into a false reality, but now they're introducing sexucation. It's not education anymore, it's sexucation. They have recently brought in, and you can check this out, so from the age of 6, a new curriculum to teach 6-year-olds and up masturbation in school, male and female. Are you fucking insane? But if you want to understand this new curriculum of schools, as if pumping religion down people's throats at school wasn't enough. I mean, what's religion and school and education got to do with each other? But anyway, now it's sexucation. Yeah? If you go into Masonic legislation and read what you would have to do become a Mason, you find out that some of their agenda bases are not just to have masturbation taught in school, but to have sex practiced and taught across the board in schools. Not only do churches become brothels when they're not churches, and places of ritualistic sacrifice and murder, rape and pillage, not only are the altars used for that, now they want to bring sexucation and practice into the schools, basically pedophilia, into school as practice. The people that run the Masonic Society on the 33rd degree levels are very, very sick and psychotic individuals. And I think should alert you the fact that their behavior is anti-nature, anti-human, should alert you to their predecessors and who is in charge of the Freemasonic Society that is ruling the world. Who is actually in charge? Who is at the top of the pyramid of this Freemasonic Society? You will find that you step outside the realms of humanity. You'll find that this story goes a long way back. To shorten it, we could take it back to about 13,000 years. And we would have to say that written in the Sumerian texts, you find the story of Amun. Amun is the genetic creator. Amun created human genetics and humanity, the primitive form of humanity. We are now the modern form. Hence, she went through what you're calling Neanderthal, Cro-Magnon, and Paleontolic stages, which are different experiments of man, different genetic experiments, and then wiping out the man that was not needed anymore and developing the new man for the new age, which is the exact thing, the exact phrase being used at the moment under this Masonic Society of Novus Order Seclorum Annuit Corpus. That is exactly what they want. the new age and the new man of the new age. What do I mean by that? Well, giantism. Giantism is very real. You can see it in people today. Giantism was very real a long time ago. It has been purposefully dissected from the population so we don't remember giants. There's a reason for that, which I'll get to. But just think about how effective giants are in mining gold. They are much stronger, much bigger, much more powerful, and they can do a lot more, a lot quicker in the mining gold, in a raw, gross, moving rock type behavior than a modern human could do. Let's reverse those roles. Let's put a Sasquatch Neanderthal giant at a computer. Quite. Now you can see how each creation of what's known as humanity, or each creation of the species that frequented the last 13 years on this plane as slaves, because there were other species that were the masters, but the slaves were created for their jobs. As today you are taught in education and created for your job. So you take on certain lines of education for certain types of jobs. You study accountancy and you become an accountant. You study plumbing and you become a plumber, and so on and so forth. The same in their the running of their occult is the same as the laws that they lay down through their education systems, etc. So these people, through Amun, Enki and Enlil, and the stories from the Sumerian texts, the creators, the genetic creators of humanity, created various species of humanity over the last 13 years to suit their necessities. And now with the modern species with little bodies and big brains to function the computer age, to take the computers into a robotic age. And once they have fully functional robots with all the consciousness of humanity inside those robots because we gave it to them, then they will make us obsolete, bar the elitists, which will be in the smart cities and paying for their lives, basically. So this is the master plan of the Novus Ordo Seclorum, the new age of man. And these guys have been planning this a long time, creating civilizations, and the civilizations being damaged or wiped out by natural changes, and then moving the civilizations to other areas and recreating them. So basically when people say, oh, you had a civilization here in Machu Picchu, and then you had a civilization in Egypt, and you have a civilization in the Orient, and there's civilization ruins over here, and these are all the same civilization. If they're different timings, they're just because the civilization got wiped out and then they rebuilt it. It's simple. It's just all the civilization creators on the same mathematics, basis in decimals, 10, 01, binary code, Council of 12, 666, divide. The reason why 666 is the numerical ratio of carbon. So 666 is the carbon, is the human, and that's basically what they're ruling. They're ruling over the humans, over the carbon-based beings, us. Anyway, this ancient rule from Sumerian times, Amun and his sons Enki and Enlil, the genetic creators, who then just created various species right down to us over the thousands and thousands of years. Well, Amun is the white Christian God who everybody prays to and finishes his name in plural of Amen. You follow all the Sumerian Masonic rituals in the church, in the Catholic Church, in various other churches, and you pray to the ancient reptilian god Amun, under Amen in the plural. You finish every prayer with that. So it's very obvious, folks, when you look. You find this Council of 12, this reptilian agenda, these reptilian species that created humanity and control humanity are still doing so, and are now known as the Freemasons. And the species which obviously stays in the dark, out of the limelight, controls humanity through secret societies which are repugnant, in the words of JFK, and should not be tolerated. These are the creators of these secret societies across time and space. Now, several secret societies have arisen to fight and to attempt to overthrow this type of constant monarchical, hierarchical, Her Majesty's sort of dominance over man, governmental authoritizing over man, control of mankind. This type of control of mankind is still going on today in the form of psychological operations, in the form of psychological deception, in the form of deletion of the left eye, the right brain creative feminine information, and the expansion of the left brain, right side, the male brain, the male side, the male dominant form, the male idea, the domination control of the profane, vulgar creatures known as humans. So this is from a non-human entity working through humans who sell their soul to these entities to then control the world. And at the moment, we've got to a point where through the WEF, the World Economic Forum, and the WHO, the World Health Organization, and the UN, the United Nations, working through all these other federations, companies, corporations of authority like the CIA and all the M's and the police. These guys' symbols are all over. All of these military, Navy, Air Force, all of these areas are dominated by the same society, and they dominate you and me, and we are the slave race of these people. Now that's been going on a long time, but the thing is, it's coming to a crux of a matter right now where you need to understand that these people are not just dominating your life at the moment and allowing you to live in a slave way and giving you money and it's kind of okay and you can scrape by and it could be worse and all that bullshit. No. These people are coming to kill you. They're coming to murder you. They're coming to genocide you. They're coming to cause domestic terrorism within your homeland, within your country. They're coming to cause civil unrest. They're coming to bring their Antifa trouble causers to come and stimulate sharing of misinformation and to stimulate riots, cause trouble, entice people to go down lines they want you to go down so they can then punish you in the ways they want to punish you. Be very careful, folks. The Freemasonic Society, the gods, the Grand Masters, they want to punish you as usual, make you suffer, because that's the vibration they live off, your suffering, your fear. But now they want to decease you, terminate you. It's time now. In the next 5 years, they will hatch the plan known as Agenda 2030 through the World Economic Forum to inform you and and go ahead with an alien invasion, which they will say will bring a viral outbreak to the plane, and for your own safety you will have to go back into lockdown. None of it will be true. But damn it, it's going to appear true. They're going to put on a good show for you folks. And they're going to try to take complete control and never let you out your doors again. The reason why they build civilizations, you see, and boxes, is for you to stay in, Jack. They like you as Jack in the box, and they don't like Jill out the box. In fact, they don't like Jills at all. So they don't need woman for natural birth. They genetic creators. They have no respect for woman and natural birth. This is of nature. This is of the Syrian creation, the creators of nature. Those that when you look at what you call your sun, you find that your sun and the Syrian sun are the same sun, superimposed and in perfect electromagnetic connection. They like have a metal bar between them, the Syrian sun and your sun. That is a doorway, a portal, through which Syrians travel regularly, the ones who created this world, nature. This natural world, the Syrian system, the Syrian creation, the Syrian experiment, this wonderful ecosystem, this fish tank and terrarium, this beautiful place that has been invaded by these bastards with their idea of Anut Coptus Novus Order Seclorum. And the number under here, if you see the number under the pyramid, makes 666. Yeah, when you take away the other zeros that are not relevant there. These people are telling you they're coming to bind you by binary code with the O1s, with the decimal count. And they're going to bring you to your termination. They are going to decease most humans and only utilize the elite of the elite to continue living in their smart cities, because everybody else is despicable. We're below them. Yes, we're the ignorant, pathetic dogs that they don't like. So yes, folks, that's about it on where we come from. As I said, this has traveled 13,000 years through time, and I'm not going to go through all of it, but through time and space until now. And you have these people attempting to dominate with the usage of not just legislation and law or legality and statutes and acts, but they're trying to, and the admiralty law, a law created unto themselves, the law of the sea they call it, because it's the larger expanse than the land, the law of the water, you see, the law of birthing, and they control, you see, they control the water, they control the waters of the woman, they control birthing, and the doctor docks the birthed one, you see. Because, folks, they're afraid of birthing, because it's free. They can't know the count of the human race. They can't keep a tab on a birthed one. If you genetically created and barcoded, you kept tabbed. They know where you are. Once you have free birthing woman, that's the whole point of a hospital, is to give you a birth certificate. It's not a birth certificate, it's a birth number. It's to tag you. It's your tag. It's your Masonic tag that you hear in the system, in their system. That's why birthing, home births or non-registered births, that's what you could call them, are very disliked, because they lose track of that human. They're kind of off-grid forever. They don't like that at all. That's the worst enemy. So understand, folks, this is your control mechanism. These are the people here for you. These are the people who have come for you. This good man like myself is trying to tell you that. And you need to resist them in every way possible, because otherwise they're going to implement this new world order, which is basically the end of you and the implementation of them and their order. One thing I will say, folks, just so you understand in closing, many of these symbols are used in a negative and a positive way. Like this is the Israeli or Star of David, or the Israeli flag, design on the flag. But this is also a tetrahedron. This is also the dimension, the three-dimensional vehicle of light in which you are in a two-dimensional format, made into prisms. So a three-dimensional, a triangle, adding a point there and attaching, gives you the depth in the triangle, gives you a prism, a three-sided, three-dimensional figure. And if you make this one into a prism as well, you have double interlocking prisms. That there is known as a tetrahedron and is the vehicle of light in which you exist at this moment in the third dimension. And the reason for that is fully explainable. Whereas you should be living within the sphere, within this circle. So if you took everything in the circle as information, and everything in these two triangles as accessible information to you, and all this is non-accessible information that used to be accessible when you were a circle, that's where you are now. You are locked in an enslaved tetrahedron in the third dimension. And the only way out, and your only real necessity, is to expand this tetrahedron back to the sphere. And in that way you will recall all of your missing knowledge, and you will know who you are and why you are here and what your purpose is, and you can get on with it. That is called ascension. The ascension process is to ascend up the hedronic ladder, up the dimensional ladder, by expanding this third dimensional vehicle of light into a fourth dimension, fifth dimension, sixth dimension, seventh dimension, and eighth dimensional vehicle of light is the full sphere. It's the full octave, the eighth dimension. So you expand this tetrahedron to a hexahedron, to an octahedron, to an icosahedron, and to a dodecahedron, and back to the sphere. These are all shapes expanding this one towards the sphere. So you can go and see your hedronic shapes. I'll give you a quick, show you what I mean. Let's put the hedrons up. Let's put a tetrahedron. See what that gives us in images. Brilliant, there they are. There's your hedronic shapes, folks. So these are called your polyhedrons. So all these shapes are your polyhedrons, and this is what I was talking about. So here you have a tetrahedron. It's a triangle in 3D, so it forms a prism. And then you have a hexahedron, is a cube, an octahedron, you have a icosahedron, a dodecahedron, and then a sphere. So you see how close this is to a sphere compared to that. So when you put that in a sphere, in a circle, you lose a lot of information. So basically, imagine yourself in a sphere. Can we inscribe that in a sphere? Let's have a look, see. That's in a... It's coming close to a sphere there. We can just say tetrahedron inscribed in a sphere. We're going to finish up now, folks, and we'll get on with part 2. Just to show you this. So that's it. That's a tetrahedron, or that's a sphere. That's a prism. It should be tetrahedron inscribed in a sphere. Double helix. Sorry. Better add that. Double helix. Maybe we get there this way. Double helix tetrahedron inscribed in a sphere. Makes sense to me. Can't see it. I've drawn all these pictures. They're in my books, folks, but let's just get the helix word out and see. Ah, there we go. So, something like this. It needs to be a... Here we go. Perfect. See this figure here, folks? This is the one we want to look at. This is a tetrahedron. And this is a double tetrahedron, or two tetrahedrons interlocking. Or, yeah, two tetrahedrons interlocking. That is the third dimensional vehicle of light inscribed in a sphere. That is what you are in the third dimension. Put your physical body in here, like Vitruvius Man, like the Canon of Man, and that is what you're in. Now that figure expands from that size to that size to that size to that size. Do you see how it's in the sphere? Do you see all the space? And the space gets smaller and smaller, and then almost none. And then when you go back to a sphere, there is no space. If you see that space as information, this is all the information you can contain right now. Actually, this is in a double helix. This is all the information you contain right now that's in this double helix tetrahedron. All the information outside of it you lost, you forgot. This is your forgotten memory. You've fallen from grace. You've fallen down the ladder. You have descended. You have descended from a sphere through what this shape is called, which is a dodecahedron, down to a icosahedron. Sorry, this is icosahedron. Down to an octahedron and a hexahedron. This is the octahedron. Yeah, it's not in line here. So you've come from here, almost fulfilling the circle, to here, to here, to here. Actually, that's the way it goes. It's the hedronic ladder where it goes, basically fills out the space. That's what you're doing. It may go this way, who knows, but you're filling the space. As these geometrical shapes get larger and larger, filling the sphere, they are memory. You regain memory, and in effect, in reverse. So when you're here and you drop down, 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 you only retain this much memory, and you forgot all of this that's outside of that shape. And as you ascend up the dimensional ladder again, you regain your memory, you regain your wisdom, you regain your understanding of etheric, energetic body and self. And you go all the way back to fulfilling the sphere, being your full octave, your full octagonal self, functioning in full harmony. But at the moment, you're just here in the third dimension, in this body. So just to take you back to the beginning, folks, and these guys, these are the master builders, these are the master creators of civilization, the master enslavers. These are the guys that have come and destroyed nature and built cities everywhere and polluted the natural environment, and nature is suffering and dying due to these people and their poisons. This is the regime running the world at the moment. Doesn't matter whether you look at China, Russia, America, or UK. They're all the same. They're hand in hand. It's one order running the world, pulling the wool over your eyes. There is no Ukraine-Russian fight. There's no American interaction. They're all one order, lying to you, using psychological operations to get you where they want you, wherever that is, for whatever reason. They always have these agendas, plans for humanity. Now, the plan is written in stone on the Georgia Guidestones that they want to murder 8.5 billion of you. If that doesn't get your attention, nothing will. So in part 2, folks, because I'm going to finish up now, we're going to go into the Council of 12 and exactly how they control you with time, using your 12-hour clock dividing it by 6, 6, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 6, 6, 6, 6, 12, 12, 12, 24, 24. These are all the elements of 3 utilized for control, not for freedom. Whereas we should be working in 13, which is a chromatic octave, the chromatic octave of music and all things, the chromatic octave of energy, created from the pentatonic scale and the C major scale, which is the C major scale of 8, do, re, mi, sol, fa, la, ti, da. The music scale, the first 8 white keys on a piano are the first octave on a piano. The rest of the white keys are repeated octaves all the way up. 8 times 8, 8 octaves on a grand piano. The pentatonic scale, the black keys on the piano, the pentatonic scale, they're the 5 keys, and the 5 and the 8, the pentatonic scale and the C major scale combined to make 13, the chromatic scale. The chromatic scale on music. 13 is the chromatic scale, it's the scale of the spiral. Because on 13 you can move through 12, and then the 13th is a spiral. It cannot be divided like 12 into 2 6s or 3 3s. So 12 can be divided, 13 cannot. 13 is a freedom number. It's a number that allows you to spiral through to your higher potential, and 12 is a number of dominance and control. I will show you these pictures in the next video. In part 2 I will show you 13 and its spiral effect. I will show you 12 and its dominant boxing effect. Remember the sides of a cube. Keep in mind the four points of a fort, the 4 points of a square. 4 times 3, 12. We'll go into numerology, the numbers. We'll go into symbology, the symbols. We'll go into of 12 and 13 of system 12, the invasive system, the council of 12, and of the system 13, or the sisters of 13. System 13, which is a freedom system of nature, Syrian system, Syrian sister system, Syrian female system of nature, feminine, divine, symbiotic, peaceful, beautiful, compassionate, empathic based Syrian natural system, compared to the grand mastery, God, gravity, global geometric domination tactics and agendas of the Freemasonic male domineering society. The anti-naturists, the anti-feminists, the anti-naturalists, the anti-humans, the genetic creators, following their gods, which we will go into. Please watch the this guy before. Then I don't have to cover all his stuff as well. He will show you quite categorically all that side, Baphomet and the Freemasons and that side of the Illuminati and the celebrities and such. When we come back in part 2, I will show you the side of System 12 and System 13 and Moloch, the god. The Moloch is the son of Baphomet. Baphomet is like the god of the Grand Masters of the Freemasons, and Moloch the owl is the son of God, of their god. So let me just show you who Baphomet is, so you know this horned god guy. So this is the Freemasonic god, this Baphomet. He has horns to represent devil and devil worshipping and the symbolism on his head and stuff. And he has breasts of a woman and the genitals of a man. So it's an androgynous being who worships the reptilian creators, his reptilian creators, which is Amun, the slave master of the human race. So this is the depiction of the god of the slave master of the human race. Basically, this is the god of this is the slave master. This is the satanic god, the Baphomet, the Luciferian god. And his son, like if this was the Christian God and his son was Jesus, this is Baphomet, the satanic or the Masonic God, and his son is Moloch, the owl, which you see all across Moloch the owl. These are various depictions of Moloch. So this is Moloch the owl. And this comes from ancient. This is thousands of years ago. They had Moloch the owl. Sumerian, Babylonian, they all worship Moloch the owl. I'll just find a different description or picture, and of course you find Moloch the owl on the patterns of the street patterns all through the Masonic areas, like Washington. You find Moloch the owl on the dollar bills. You find Moloch everywhere. Okay, you put Moloch in a slightly different name and it's into demons. I think that's the correct spelling. I may have one L too many there. I'm just trying to find more of the representation of. I mean, this is crazy. Look at this. This is the sacrifice of children. This is the sacrificing their children to this god Moloch. There he's not seen as an owl, but he's an owl god. You see, some of this depiction is confused with Baphomet and Moloch, so they're not sure what. So they just kind of depict it like this because it's very new age. But it's quite clear that Moloch is the owl from Bohemian Grove. If you go to Bohemian Grove, where you find all your 33-degree Freemasons from around the world, all your presidents from around the world, actually, you've got, I think it's Jimmy Carter, and you got the boys here, the Bush brothers. They're all at Bohemian Grove worshipping this Moloch the owl, this doing human sacrifice. They say it's all an act and theatre, and they're all dressed up in their clothes, and you hear a child gets taken out of the river and put on here and burnt, and you hear it screaming, and they say it's an effigy. They say it's a play, a theatre, a recreation of sacrifice to their god Moloch, but some believe that it's true. And the amount of children going missing across the world, I think it's in Australia, the guy before, Robert there tells you that it's at least 20,000 a year or something, or 80,000 a year. It's ridiculous amount of children just going missing for no apparent reason. So the apparent reason is child sacrifice by the Freemasons and their satanic rituals to Moloch the owl, you see. Now, the thing about Moloch the owl here is that Moloch also has horns, and Moloch is like the sun, the messenger. So Moloch would be the messenger of Baphomet, the god I showed you before. There we go. There's your owl. So there's the Bohemian Club, are ruled by this owl. You'll find this owl everywhere. And when I come back and deal with the Council of 12 and the Sisters of 13, I will show you some very, very interesting anomalies of 12 and 13. And basically I'm going to show you 12 agendas, one at a time, and explain them to you, and explain to you how these 12 agendas lock together into one massive deception of the human race, and have been for thousands of years. But just to close off, I'm going to show you something very, very disturbing. At the point of these people, please realize, is to destroy goodness. Whether you believe that's through Christianity or Muslim or Hindu or Buddhism, these people are here to instill evil and destroy goodness, destroy empathic compassion, love, kindness, sharing, human qualities, community, Across the board, they're here to introduce evil and destroy all goodness and all. Just to introduce profanity and the base of reality, to drop the vibration, to lower the vibration, to entertain fear, murder, rape, pillage as a normality, including the depravity and high levels of molestation, etc. These people, they live and breathe human destruction and base reality and fear. They literally live off human fear. And the way they get to that is through deception. The owl is the deceiver in their case. The one that sees in the dark. They are the dark. I'm going to show you, while we're on religion, I'm going to show you how these people deceive you. One massive deception. I'm going to show you a close-up of the face. Moloch the owl, so it knows face. Let's see what we get here, folks. Yeah, we have an owl. Yeah, we have Moloch the owl. This is quite a good one. Whoa! Moloch the owl god upon the ball. Ladies and gentlemen, please, may I introduce to you Moloch the owl. I don't know what happened there. Let me just delete that, because we don't need whatever that was. Folks, look carefully. Moloch has horns. Look carefully what Moloch has. These little peaks, the sticky out nose, these big eyes. Look at the owl here. Notice how an owl looks. It's got this bit coming down to its nose. Yeah. Let's have a look at another owl. Look carefully how these horns stick up like that. Sometimes there's a tuft on the top of his head here, the owl. But it definitely comes down into the nose like that with big eyes. It's kind of squared off face. But this definite V here. Let's just study a few owls, folks, and let's have a really good look at owls. And there's an owl. Have a really good look at the face. There's the owl. So the owl is used as Moloch the owl everywhere. Sometimes it has a tuft on the head here, some owls. Let's just go and get a normal owl so we can... Maybe we should close a few of these because we don't need to come back to them. And then we get... Okay, let's pop off and get a normal owl. So here we have imagery of a normal owl. And you'll see what I mean by the tuft on the top of some of these owls' heads, as far as I know. No, we seem to have the same shape, don't we? We seem to have the same shape, yeah? I thought there would be a bit of a tuft, but yeah. Okay, I think you can see an owl. Let's pretty much get the idea of an owl. Right. Let's leave that owl right there. I'm going to show you something. If I put this in front of you and said to look at that, maybe we have to just flick the light on for you. If I said to look at that, perhaps you would see the outline of an owl. See the ears and the squareness. Look at the owl. So let's bring up an owl looking straight at us, perhaps, like this one. And I think you can see a likeness in the ears there, possibly. It's not exact, but it's just a formation of possibly ears likeness to the owl. And let's pop back to Baphomet, to Moloch here. And we pop up the Moloch owl. And we can see a likeness to the ears of the owl. And of course there's our horns there, but a more normal owl will give you those ears. Right, so what I'm showing you, folks, is that there is the outline of an owl. But that there outline, remember it. Because when I show you that outline, I will show you where it comes from. So, the depiction of this is the outline of that. That owl, that owl, that owl is that owl. See the ears? See the line that comes down here to the nose? Look carefully, folks, especially as we put a shadow on it. As we move it away, you see the owl. As we move it in, you see a reverse picture of what some would call blasphemy. But I was brought up praising this guy and this photo and this picture of this guy, Jesus. I was brought up, if we turn him over, you will see who we're looking at. This is the modern depiction in the Catholic Church of Jesus. This is what everybody was brought up with, the picture of Jesus. I'm challenging you to reverse the image of Jesus. Turn it over. And you will find that hidden in plain sight is Moloch the owl, the son of Baphomet, the Masonic god, not the son of the Christian god Jesus. Look at the owl. Look at the big eyes. Look at the ears. Look at the lead of... Look carefully, folks, especially in the silhouette. This is no game, folks. This is purposeful. The Savior, the person you worship, in reverse is Moloch the owl, the one they want you to worship. The Luciferian son of Baphomet, the Masonic evil god. Yes, folks. Hidden in plain sight, like everything, like was hidden on the dollar bills. I'm not saying Jesus is evil. I'm saying that the picture that they showed you of Jesus is a psyop, a conspiracy. They are hiding Moloch, their god, in the picture of Jesus that they're selling you as a Christian son of God. Go and find other pictures for yourself, folks, and you will see these people, their art is the art of the owl, the dark art of the owl, the art of deception. The grand masters, the grand deceivers, the grand masons, the gods of gravity, geometry, and pure lies. your grand deceivers, your grand masters, as Robert Clancy tells you, and I'm telling you, System 12, the system of human destruction, the system of psyops, the system of using psychological operations to control humanity, is the language of the Freemasons. The language of the Freemasons is psychological operation through symbolism and information control, disinformation, reversed symbolism, reversed information, lies and deception, obfuscation, telling you one thing and the other thing and letting you work out what the truth is, giving you both concepts as truth, basically deceiving you outright, is the language of Baphomet, Moloch the Owl, and the Freemasonic Society, which is now running under that name and has run under various names for thousands of years. I've shown you in prior videos their symbolism and such like. In part 2, I'm going to go deep into the Council of 12 and the Syrian Sisters of 13, as I call them. Basically, I'm going to explain to you how the Masons are ruling you in 12 different ways that you have not realized. And they are deceiving you by putting you out of time. They are putting you out of cycle. It's like trying to sow seeds in the winter and expecting a crop in the spring. That doesn't work. You need to sow the seeds in the spring and expect the crop in the summer. So when they put us out of cycle, we are sowing seeds at the wrong time of the year, and we are not bearing fruit in our reality. What that means is we have been deceived of our soul purpose and our soul journey. We have been lied to about why we are here and who we are. We need to decode the deception, understand who we are and why we are here, and get on with our job, instead of living the manipulated lives that we are living, manipulated by the Freemasons, thinking we are doing what we are supposed to be doing when we are not, thinking we are doing it in the timing cycles we are supposed to be doing it in, and we are not, thinking we are moving to an ascended status, but we are descending. What's the solution to the problem? Wisdom, knowledge, knowing your enemy and outwitting them. If they are more highly armed or trained, you need to evade. But you need to know that. So knowledge first. So in part 2 we'll learn about System 12 and how it's deceiving you. Syrian Sisters of 13 and System 13, and how you can get back onto your natural cycles and back into feeling yourself and learning about who you are, why you're here, and what your purpose is. And once you've broken the deception, once you've shattered the mirror, once you've obliterated the lie, once you've woken up, once you've seen the truth, once you've seen the bigger picture, once you've finished your jigsaw puzzle, once you see, then you can begin to learn again all about your spiritual self. But first you have to see and decide, okay, that's not for me and this is. Freemasonry and male dominance is not for me. Remembering who I truly am and why I'm truly here and being a full whole human being, yeah, that's for me. Gaining knowledge and tools to practice ascension and actually raising my vibration and becoming a better me, yes, that's for me. Well, that's what we're offering. Signing out.